So we will be looking at the insights of the Google Merchandise Store. Google Analytics lets you see who's visiting your site, how long they are staying, and what they are doing within your site. This is important to remember that we will be looking at different reports, and every report has valid information on how to alter your site to benefit you as a company, to benefit Google Merchandise Store. The first report that we will be looking at is new versus returning customers. The important part to look at is the new visitors bringing in about 14,000 people. They're staying for about a minute and 50 seconds, and they're bringing in about $25,000. One thing I found interesting is that this is that the returning visitors are about 4,200, and they're staying about for 3 minutes and 19 seconds, and they're bringing in the most amount of money. And that is something that we got to remember for later on. The next report we'll be looking at is how people are getting to our site. So right now, a lot of our traffic is coming from organic search, and we have about 33% coming from our Google, which is a good amount because we still have people coming from our direct social referral accounts. If someone was to change something on Google, we could lose all our visitors from that area. That is why we need to maintain traffic areas in all sources. So this one is the locations page. We're able to see that the United States is the #1 location right now. We're seeing about, and it's Japan and Indonesia, China, India, Russia, and United Kingdom. It is important to know where our customers are coming from because then we can alter our sites towards them. We see people coming from all over the world, so being able to know different cultures and be able to express the way that we want to express and interpret how people interpret things is something to look at. The next page is the devices page. We see that Apple iPhone is the #1 spot with 1,460 people using that Apple iPhone device. And then we see the Apple iPad coming in second. One thing I thought was interesting is that the Google Pixel is bringing about 125 people in, and they're staying for 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And comparing that to the Apple users, they're staying a lot longer, and they're bringing in about $123.90. So this is the landing page. So seeing what our customers are seeing right away when they click on our page, and this is the page that the link that it will bring it to is the home page, is our #1 landing page. And they're bringing about 2 minutes and 43 seconds is how long people are staying. This can tell us a lot depending on how to encourage our customers to stay longer so that we can alter our site so that people are more engaged in the site. The next one we'll be looking at is the exit page. So what page people are leaving on. This is a little bit more beneficial just to know where people are leaving our site. Is there something wrong on the home page, or is it just people leaving because they want to leave? Just gives us some more reports and more data. So the insights that I got from the Google Merchandise Store is that the amount of returning visitors versus new visitors is super important to look at. We saw that there was a lot less returning visitors than the new visitors, but one thing we did see was that the returning visitors are bringing in the most revenue. This is super important. So if we can get people to come back and come back to our site and be a returning visitor, we can maybe gain more revenue and have a better business, be more successful. Google must also alter their sites to Apple, which I thought was interesting looking at the devices. Was that Google must alter their sites to Apple, which is the competitor of Google. So maybe looking at, they have their top visitors coming from the Apple devices, and how can they compete with Apple? Taking each part of who is accessing your site. So we looked at where people are coming from, what are they doing on our site is super important. We can use these reports to analyze where visitors are visiting from and how we can alter our site to be more efficient for them. Some of the recommendations I have for Google Analytics or Google Merchandise Store through the Google Analytics is one thing Google needs to work on is maybe how to balance their own users on their own devices compared with the Apple users. So Google is losing a lot of business within their own devices. So maybe they could alter their site to fit the needs of more Google use. So Google also might want to retain more traffic sources from all areas. Right now we have most visitors coming from the organic visitors from Google. One of the biggest things that Google can look at is having their visitors return to their site. This is where they are making most of their revenue, like we talked earlier. So if we